the bottom of this 5-story chasm sits a story and a half. A story about a little old lady who stood up to a big new development. You've probably seen similar stories, but I promise you've never seen one that ends quite like this. It started, for me at least, about 1.5 years ago when the walls were just beginning to rise. I'd flown here to Seattle to ask the owner of the house why she turned down $1 million offer from the developers. For those of you who don't remember that interview,
is there any chance? Okay.
That's probably because it never happened, even after I sent her flowers and offered to help with the chores.
Do you want some help, Edith?
No.
86-year-old Edith Macefield proved to be as unwelcoming to me as she was to change in general. But apparently, there was another side to Edith, a sweet side. I found this picture hanging on the refrigerator door of Barry Martin. Barry was the construction project manager.
You really ended up enjoying her company.
Oh, yeah.
This is the man who was basically in charge of walling her in.
We got along and we thought a lot the same ways.
When the building project began 3 years ago, Barry started checking in on Edith, just as a courtesy. Then one day, she asked him if he wouldn't mind taking her to the beauty parlor. Barry obliged. Later, it was the doctor's office, and pretty soon, he was cooking her 3 meals a day and visiting her on weekends.
That explains why she re-gifted my flowers to him. Barry was the closest thing to family Edith had, a responsibility he took very seriously, especially after Edith was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
She didn't want to be put into a nursing home, wanted to stay there and die in her house where her mother died. And I kind of realized that if I didn't do it, she wasn't going to be able to do that.
So, even though he has a family of his own, Barry became Edith's primary caregiver. Thanks to him, she was able to stay in her house all the way to the end.
And it's funny, every time I come in here, I expect to look over there and see her.
Her house is now his house. Edith left it to him. Today, it's not worth a fraction of what it was, but that's okay.
I walk around in there and look at things and think about her.
Seems the owner still isn't ready to sell. Steve Hartman, CBS News, Seattle.
"33-year-old Sky Caligati knows the drill. When she goes shopping with her 2 kids, it's going to be a battle between sugar and substance.
What they eat is constantly on my mind. Everything they put in their body, it affects them. So you want to make sure they're always putting something healthy, but you also want to make sure they're enjoying what they're eating. So it's constant struggle of what tastes good and what's good for you.
And Galagati's kids, she says, often equate what tastes good with what cartoon character is on the box.
We've sat and looked at the fruit snacks and talked about why would Shrek or Disney princess need to be on a fruit snack, and then why we buy a different one.
But that's not the norm. Sweetened cereals, along with fast food advertisements, account for more than half of all the commercials and underwriting on Nickelodeon, the Disney Channel, and PBS during preschool hours. Cereal ads marketed directly towards children began in the 1950s. By the late 1970s, cereal ads accounted for 80% of television network revenues on Saturday morning. In that 20-year span, children began consuming about 500 more calories a day, the equivalent of a pound a week. The irony is that the word cereal, back in its ancient Latin form, was synonymous with health, vitality, and fertility. The English cereal comes from Ceres, the Roman goddess of grain and agriculture. Coins from the era show Ceres wearing crowns of fruit and wheat with wisps of grain in her hair. Today, the most marketed American children's cereal is Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Those little crispy squares are made of wheat and in one serving provide more sugar than the daily recommendation for an adult man.
I really want to drive fast, Mom.
Uh-huh.
Pinch me.
I didn't pinch you.
Who did?
Are you ready to help Dad?
Yep.
Hey, get in the back.
Good job. You did good.
We only got about 5 more miles to put up.
5 more miles.
Careful, Whit. How many other people are lucky to have a cutie driving a picket for them?
Sit down, Whit. Whitney, honey. Whitney, don't get tangled up in there.
Can I drive again? Mom, can I? Because I never got to.
Just sit down. Let me get up there to the corner post.
Okay.
Whit, sit down. Sit, Whitney.
I'm sitting. Stay sitting down. Just hold on.
Hang on, guys. Mom's a crazy driver.
We always thought farming that I'd be able to stay home and take care of the kids, and I still think that. I know I'm old-fashioned, but I think that's what's wrong a lot with the country. That I think kids need mom at home, at least during their developing years. When Daryl and I first got married, we agreed we wanted to have 6 kids. And we have 3 girls now, and unfortunately, I think that's all we're ever going to be able to afford. So I think we're just loving our 3 girls as much as we can. Sometimes I feel Daryl's a little disappointed not having a boy, but he never says that, and he loves his girls. And sometimes I'm almost relieved that we don't have a boy. To think that, you know, he'd grow up. So Daryl's just a farmer, it's just in his blood. And I'd be scared if we had a boy, he'd be the same way, and I don't know what the future for farming is.
Are you having fun, Mom?
Oh, yeah.
Lots?
Yes. Aren't you getting cold?
My lips need warming. Huh?
The wheat looks nice, doesn't it?
Yep.
Isn't we?
Over there it is. I'm sure just had to warm your lips up.
I know, it helps.
Yeah.
Come on, Audrey, we better hurry.
Happy birthday to you. Tell Mom she didn't make her wish.
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
What?
she can't tell us there won't be no wish.
There, we can,
Okay,
we can use these for Dad's birthday.
Who sang the loudest, Mom? Yeah.
This isn't another corny one, is it?
Yes. I'm good at making corny cards.
No, it's the
Read your front.
To my dear wife with all my love. The day that we were married, my greatest wish came true, and each day we're together, I grow more in love with you. If I had another wish, that wish would surely be for you to be as happy as your special love makes me. Have a wonderful birthday. Thank you.
Is that all it said? One more.
Dad, you should got her camera so I can have her old
Camera? You don't need a
So I can
camera.
have her old one.
Just a minute.
Why don't we just buy you an old one?
No. That's the best birthday ever.
It's the best birthday ever. How come?
How old is Mom, Wet?
82.
82, huh?
Gee, clothes. What did I do with the clothes?
Where?
They're pretty.
That fit.
Oh. Where did you go get clothes?
I made it, and so did
Yeah.
I last night.
Thank you. You never buy me clothes.
She asked me what size. I said, I don't know. She's tall. And she's about 5'8", and she's slender. So let's go from there. And that's what she picked out. So.
If we rule out depression, we rule out any kind of venereal disease, we rule out diabetes, what we have is Alzheimer's. I never had a clue. So that's where we started. My name is Jean Olthoff. My husband has early onset Alzheimer's. I'm recreating my life. Every family is going through some kind of trauma at one time or another. Every family has got something. So to just say, well, I'm mad at God because this thing happened to me, it's part of human life. God can heal this, but God doesn't heal everything, because maybe he's going to take Gary home. God kind of set the stage that something was coming, and how are we going to deal with it? I can't do this by myself. At this point, when Gary really can't do much for himself, I know that he's safe, and I know that he's comfortable, and I know that he's content. And that's not something that we could do at home. I see Gary about 3 or 4 times a week, but periodically they'll call and say, well, we want to try and change the meds. Then that means that I will call the nurse practitioner, who will then get in touch with the doctor, and they will make some arrangement. But for Gary, I am basically the main person. It's healthy to be moving forward, and I think you always have to move forward. You can't keep looking back. And a lot of times we talk about, hoping that our loved one is looking out for us or whatever. But I kind of wonder about that, because wouldn't it make you sad if you're looking down from heaven and you see your family members going through a hard time? I don't know whether we would really see those kind of things or not. I think maybe heaven, you're totally divorced from this world and everything continues in God's hands and not our own.